everyone, did you know that behind every seamless app experience or perfectly executed event lies the expertise of a project manager? They ensure every detail is planned, every challenge is addressed, and every goal is achieved on time. If you're preparing for a project manager interview, you know it's more than just about having a technical knowledge. It's about demonstrating leadership, problem solving, and adaptability. To help you ace your next interview and make the concepts easier, I have compiled the top 30 project manager interview questions that covers everything from technical hard skills to critical soft skills. And I'm 100% sure that these questions will give you an idea of how project manager interviews are shaped and what kind of questions you can expect. So make sure to watch this video till the end. And plus, don't forget to subscribe to Intellipaat's YouTube channel to never miss out any updates from our end.
Okay, so starting off with the very first question, which is how do you define a project? Okay, so a project is like a journey with a clear starting point, a destination and a unique purpose. So what I mean by this is a project is a temporary endeavor with a definite beginning and end. It's all about achieving something new, whether it's building a bridge or you can say launching an app or even planning a wedding. It all comes under a project. And what are the key characteristics of a project? That a project don't go forever, meaning it has some clear goals and timeline. A project should produce a unique outcome. And project also have boundaries like money, budget and time constraint, making them distinct from every business process. And lastly, team collaboration. So what's the outcome of a project is something deliverable which you can serve. So moving on to our next question, which is what is project management and why is it important? So imagine you are working on a big project, okay, like planning a wedding or launching a new app. You need someone to keep everything on track, making sure that the team stay focused, the budget doesn't goes out and everything gets done on time. And this is where project management comes in. It involves organizing tasks, setting clear goals and ensuring teamwork for successful outcome. So you can see here on the screen the 12 benefits of having a good project management. That is more impactful project outcome, on time and budget delivery, efficient resource management, continuous learning from past projects, improved project, consistent detailed project, better productivity and effective decision making and problem solving. So you can say that with proper project management, the team can stay on the track, risks are handled and you get the high quality results that can bring real value. Okay, moving on to our next question, which is what is the iron triangle, which is also known as triple constraint in a project management and why is it significant? Okay, so the iron triangle or the triple constraint in project management represent the three key factors that determines a project success, which is cost, time and scope, and together they produce the quality. Okay, the cost is the project's budget covering resources like the materials, labors. The time, it refers to a schedule including the deadlines of the task duration, and third, scope, which represents the outline, the task and goals to be achieved. So the key challenge for project managers is balancing these three elements. For example, if you want to complete the project faster, so there comes the time. It might increase the cost or reduce the scope. Similarly, expanding the scope can raise cost or extend the deadlines. So this concept is crucial because it helps manage the expectations and ensures that project deliver while staying realistic. So by effectively balancing the triple constraint, project managers can handle the trade-offs or they can avoid scope creeps and deliver the quality results. So moving on to our next question, which is what are the 4 P's of project management and how do they contribute to project success? Okay. So the 4 P's of project management, as you can see on the screen, are people, product, process and project. So this. Okay. Now talking about people, so you know the backbone of any project lies in the skilled labor involved. So a skilled, well-managed team with clear roles like project managers, team leads, and stakeholders can ensure smooth execution. Talking about the product, so this is the end result, whether it's a software, a system, or even an organizational change. Clearly defining the product scope and addressing technical challenges helps the team stay focused and aligned. Talking about the process, a structured process is critical for success. It defines how the team will approach the project, covering phases like documentation, implementation, deployment, etc. Now, talking about this project. So the overall blueprint of the effort, the project manager ensures everything stay on the track, from managing budgets as in cost, deadlines, and solving problem and guiding the team. So we can say that together these P's perform a framework that drives project to achieve their end goal. So moving on to our next question, which is, what is a project charter and what does it include? Okay, so a project charter, in short, we can say that it is a formal documentation initiating a project, meaning it gives the project manager the authority to begin work and outline the key details of the project to ensure that everyone involved understands its goals and objective. It's like a blueprint that helps guide the team and keep stakeholders informed throughout the project. And what does it include? It includes project scopes and objectives, then identify project stakeholders and roles, then create project charter, then update the project charter as required and ensure that stakeholders are aligned with whatever mission and vision of that project is, and lastly manage project according to the charter. So the charter helps keep the project on track and serves as a quick reference throughout its life cycle. Moving ahead with our next question, which is, what is a project charter and what does it include? So a project charter, in short, is a formal documentation that officially starts a project. So it serves as a blueprint for guiding the team and aligning the stakeholders, which ensures clarity on goals, roles, and deliverables. And what does it include? So it includes project goals, what the project is being done, the participants and their roles, the stakeholders, people impacted by the project or who needs update, the constraint, for example, the potential risk, the milestones, the key dates including the start, checkpoint and completion, communication plan, how updates will be shared, the deliverable, what will be the delivered item at the end, and the cost. So the charter helps keep the project on track and serves as a quick reference throughout its life cycle. So moving ahead with our next question, which is, what are the 5 project life cycle phases and how they are interrelated? So the 5 phases of project life cycle are like stepping stones that help manage a project from start to finish, and each phase has a specific purpose to solve, and together they ensure the project stays on track. So talking about the first phase, which is project initiation. Okay, so this is where the project ideas take shape. So you define a project purpose, goal and stakeholder. A project charter is created in this particular phase only. Okay, it's like setting the foundation before going ahead. Secondly, talking about project planning. So think of this phase as creating a detailed roadmap. You break down the project into tasks, set deadlines and identify the resources. So smart, specific, measurable, achievable, time bound are set to keep everything realistic. And this phase also involves the planning of risk and how to manage those risks. So moving on with our next phase, which is project execution. So here the actual work begins. Team carry out the task and project manager ensures that smooth workflow and collaboration is there. It's all about following the plan and staying aligned with the stakeholder. Then comes the monitoring and controlling. So this happens alongside the execution. Okay, so as the project execution is started, this will also start. It's ensure that the project stays on the track by measuring performance using key performance indicator, which is also known as KPIs, and critical success factors, which is also known as CSFs, and adjustments accordingly are made. And last step is project closing. When all the 4 steps are followed, this is the final phase which wraps up the project, and deliverables are handed over and contracts are closed and are further documented for future improvement. So each phase builds on the previous one. You see, each phase is dependent on the previous one, which ensures a smooth flow from initiation to completion. Okay, so moving on to our next question, which is what is the purpose of the initiating process group and what key documents are produced? Okay, so the purpose of initiating process group is to define and authorize a new project or a new phase of an existing project. What I mean by this is it sets the foundation by helping stakeholders understand the project's need, that what are the things required, and its expected benefits. This phase aligns their expectation with the project's purpose, which ensures clear visibility about the scope and objective of that particular project. It also highlights the importance of engaging stakeholders early to ensure project success. So the key deliverable produced in this phase include the project charter and the stakeholder register. And what does it include? It includes the definition of the authorized project, which engages the stakeholders, key deliverables, and it secures its approval. So these documents are essential for smooth execution of project, ensuring alignment with organizational goal and securing the necessary approvals for the project's next step. Okay. So moving on to our next question, which is how to identify stakeholders in a project. This is again a very important question. So you can think of a stakeholder as anyone who has a role in or is affected by whatever project you're working on and whatever project's outcome is there. So start with the project charter. It usually lists the keys people like sponsor or the client. Then look at your company setup and industry standards to spot other players. Okay. So a great way to dig deeper is to talk to team and experts. So asking the right question, ask the question that who benefits from this project or who might be impacted by its result. So this will help you uncover everyone involved from suppliers and client to end users. Finally, group them based on the levels of interest. So when you are done with consulting your team and experts, group them on the basis of the level, interest, and influence. Identifying stakeholders early means fewer surprises and better communication throughout the project. So it's all about knowing who to involve and keeping them in this loop of making a project. So moving ahead with our next question, which is what is a work breakdown structure or WBS and how does it aid in project planning? So work breakdown structure is a project management tool that breaks down a large project into smaller manageable components. So you see here, this is the project and it's been broken down into smaller tasks, and this task is again broken into subtasks and then work package. So it aids in project planning by organizing tasks. It clearly structures the project. It improves the clarity. Okay. It streamlines the tracking, which helps project managers monitor progress, identifying delays, and maintains accountability. It enhances the focus because it simplifies the large goal into actionable steps. And lastly, supporting cost and reducing planning, which helps in assisting in estimating budgets and allocating resources, because as we have broken our project into smaller tasks, we now know that what task required what amount of money. So you can say that WBS can be formatted as spreadsheet, flow chart or Gantt chart, and by breaking down projects, WBS ensures better collaboration and successful project completion. So moving on to our 10th question, which is what is the earned value management and how does it improve project tracking? So earned value management or EVM, it's a project management method that helps track progress by comparing what's been achieved to what was planned. So you planned something and you achieved something. So this will help you track the overall progress. So it provides a clear picture of whether a project is on schedule and within budget by combining time, cost and scope into a single system. So EVM improves project tracking by offering real-time insights into performance. Okay, it highlights the potential delays, that how much you are lagging. For example, if a task is only 50% complete but was supposed to be 75% done by now, EVM flags this discrepancy, allowing adjustment to keep the project on track. So by breaking down project data into measurable metrics, EVM ensures better resources allocation, effective communication and accurate forecasting, which makes a vital tool for managing complex projects, ensuring goals are met efficiently and cost effectively. So moving ahead with our next question, which is what is a critical path method or CPM and how does it help in project scheduling? So the critical path method is a project management technique that is used to identify the most crucial task needed to complete a project. Okay. So it focuses on critical path, which is the longest sequence of tasks that must be finished on time to ensure the project stays on schedule. And if any task on critical path is delayed, the whole project gets delayed. So suppose task A takes 3 days, task B takes 2 days, and task D, which is dependent upon task A and task B, will take 3 days. So you can say the average of task A and task B. So CPM highlights this dependency so you can plan accordingly your task D. Okay. So using CPM, project managers can prioritize tasks, avoid bottlenecks and allocate resources. Then after this task D, then the project managers can plan their task E accordingly, which will take 3 days. So in short, you can say that CPM gives you a clear roadmap, helping you manage complex projects smoothly while keeping deadlines. So moving ahead with our next question, which is how does the responsibility assignment matrix support resource management? So for this question, imagine you're working on a project where everyone is busy but nothing seems to move forward. Like you are doing your job, your TL is doing your job and your manager is doing job. But the confusion is about who is doing what. And that is where the RACI matrix becomes your savior. RACI stands for responsible, accountable, consulted and informed. Responsible meaning who does the actual work. Accountable meaning whose the head will roll if anything goes wrong. Consulted meaning those whose input shapes the decision, and informed meaning people kept in the task and who has to kept updated about the progress. So this simple chart clears up any misunderstanding about responsibility. It ensures the task never clear owners, reduces overlap and improves communication. For example, while the project manager might be accountable for whole project, a business analyst could be responsible for mapping process, consulting with TLs and informing the team. So moving ahead with our next question, which is what is the Cynefin Framework and how does it apply to classifying projects? So Cynefin Framework is a decision-making tool which categorizes situation into 4 domains: complex, complicated, chaotic and clear. So clear meaning clear cause and effect solution are the best practices one should follow. Complicated, multiple solution of same project which requires expert analysis. Complex meaning patterns emerge through experimentation, and enabling constraint which are loosely coupled. Then chaotic, meaning immediate action is necessary to restore the order. So to use the framework, assess the situation based on cause and effect, stability and available knowledge. Choose the appropriate responses based on these factors. For example, in crisis management, immediate action is needed, which is chaotic, while in routine tasks, the best practices, simple, are sufficient. So, by visualizing these domains, organization can improve decision making and adapt strategies. Moving ahead to our next question, which is, what is the difference between iterative and phased approaches in project management? So, talking about the phased approach, the project is divided into sequential stages. For example, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 and so on. And each phase must be completed before moving to the next. For instance, in construction projects, the design phase is fully completed and approved before the construction phase begins, ensuring a clear structure and predictable timeline. So, this can be your initiation stage, then comes the planning, then comes the execution, and then comes the closure. So, moving ahead with the iterative approach, in this the work is divided into smaller cycles or iteration, where tasks are revisited to refine and improve the outcome. Okay, so fine, you didn't like the analysis and design. Okay, move ahead with the development or testing and then come back to analysis and design once you feel like. So, it is flexible and incorporates continuous feedback. For example, in agile software development, features like a login page or dashboard are built, tested and improved in each sprint, allowing for adjustment based on the feedback. So, you can say that both methods suit different project type. For example, iterative is for ideal and dynamic projects like software, while phased is better for fixed scope like construction. Moving ahead with our next question, which is, what are the key components of risk planning and how do you address potential risk? Okay, so risk planning involves identifying, analyzing, preparing, monitoring and control. For example, risk identification is the process of recognizing potential risk before they occur. For example, in a software project, risks like system failure, scope changes or resources shortage are identified on the early basis. Moving ahead with risk assessment. So once the risks are identified, their likelihood and potential impacts are evaluated, which helps prioritize which risks need immediate action. For example, a security breach in software project could have a high impact, while minor delays may have a lower impact. Talking thirdly about risk strategies or mitigation, it involves creating plans to minimize or avoid risk. Strategies can include have a backup plan, diversifying resources or setting contingency budgets. And lastly, risk monitoring. So throughout the project, risk should be monitored in each and every step and ensure that mitigation plans are effective. And when new risks are identified promptly, regular reviews and updates help keep the project on track. So you can say that addressing risk requires proactive planning and constant monitoring to ensure project to stay within scope, time and budget. Okay, so moving ahead with our next question, which is, what tools do you use to improve process activities in a project? So to improve process activities in a project, there are several tools that can be used to streamline workflows, which increases the efficiency and ensure better outcomes. So some of the commonly used tools are project management software. You must have heard about Jira, Trello. These tools help manage tasks and track process and assign responsibilities. Then coming to Gantt chart, for example, Microsoft Project Smart Sheets, which are helpful for visualizing project timelines, milestones and dependencies. Then we have process mapping. For example, usage chart, in which process mapping tools help visualize the flow of tasks and activities in a project. Then we have Kanban board. You have heard about Trello, Monday.com, which help manage tasks by visualizing them in columns such as to do or in process or completed, which ensures that work is moving smoothly and teams are staying on the top of the task. Then we have root cause analysis, which consists fishbone diagrams, 5 whys, to identify the root cause of any problem. Then we have this SWOT analysis, you must have heard, which is a tool for assessing strength, weakness, opportunities and threat. Then we have time tracking tools such as Toggle, Harvest, which help keep the track of the time spent on various tasks and helping teams understand where resources are being allocated. Okay, so you can say that by utilizing these tools, team can improve process activities, inform decisions and keep project on track. Okay, so moving ahead with our next question, which is tell me about a challenge you have faced and how you handle it. Okay, so what the question means here is the interviewer wants to learn about your problem solving skills and how you approach towards the challenges. Okay, and so they are looking for a specific example. How to answer this is to apply the STAR method. And what's the meaning of STAR? As you can see on the screen, STAR is situation, task, action and result. So situation, start with the situation you were in. For example, explain that your project team suddenly got smaller because 2 people were out sick for an extended period of time. In task, you can say like how you wanted to resolve the situation. For example, your goal was to ensure that you could still deliver the project on time. And in action, you can describe the action you took to reach your goal. For example, you tried to get help from another team, and when that also didn't work out, you had outsourced some of the simpler tasks to a freelancer. And the result will include finish the outcome of the situation. For example, hiring a freelancer allowed your team to focus on the important tasks and complete the project without any further delays. So this is how you will explain about the challenges you faced and how you handle it using the STAR method. So moving ahead with our next question, which is what are the type of meeting in a project management and what roles do they play? So in project management, meetings are very essential to ensure smooth communication and collaboration. So we have kick-off meetings which are held at project start, and these meetings ensure everyone understands the goal. Then we have regular meetings conducted frequently, like on daily, weekly or monthly basis. Then we have stakeholder meetings, which involve stakeholders to provide updates, gather feedback and maintain their interest. Then we have change control meetings, which focuses on reviewing and deciding on change requests, and these meetings help manage the project scope. Then we have status review meeting, which are done to track the progress on a schedule, budget and scope. Then lastly, we have project review meeting, which is held at the end of the project to evaluate success, learn lesson and recognize team effort. So each type of the meeting plays a critical role in ensuring clarity, addressing concern and keeping the project on track. So moving ahead with our next question, which is how do you manage a difficult stakeholder involved in your project? So managing a difficult stakeholder can be challenging, but at the same time it's very essential for ensuring the project's success and the key to address their concern while maintaining a professional and productive relationship. So the steps which you can follow is you can listen actively, you can hear their issues without interrupting, you can understand their motivation, determine if their concerns stem over the pressure, lack of information. Then you can stay calm and professional. You can handle the discussion with patience and avoid personal conflicts. Then you can provide data-driven responses. Use the fact and progress report to address the concerns. Then you can take quick actions, resolve the valid issues. Then of course communication is the key everywhere, so you can keep them informed through updates and meeting, and you can be firm whenever it is necessary. So moving ahead with our next question, which is how would you manage a client issue encountered just before the UAT phase. So what do you mean by UAT phase is user acceptance testing. So how you can manage a client. So there are 8 steps to manage a client issue before the UAT phase. The first one is identify the issue. It's very important to know what exactly the issue is. Then you can communicate that issue immediately. Then assess the impact of that issue. Then collaborate on solution. You can take various solutions from various people and then collaborate. Then prioritize the critical task. Then change the documentation which was previously made and update the UAT, and then maintain the transparency. So these are the steps to be followed to manage a client issues just before the UAT phase. Moving on with our next question, which is how do you deal with bottlenecks in a project? So dealing with bottleneck in a project requires a structured approach. Okay. So firstly, identify the bottleneck, analyze where delays or inefficiency occurs. So the first step is identification. Then second, prioritize and address it by understanding its root cause. For example, if it's a resource shortage, reallocate the resource or bring in additional support. Then optimize the process. Consider automating repetitive tasks, streamlining communication or breaking the bottleneck. Then communicate effectively with the team, keeping everyone informed about the step. Then prevent that issue, and after resolving it, implement long-term solution to prevent reoccurrence, such as improving workflows, updating tools, increasing training. And lastly, stay positive, maintain a positive mindset that bottlenecks are common in projects and tackling them effectively improves the team efficiency and outcome. Okay. Moving ahead with our next question, which is how can a conflict affect a project's progress and how would you resolve it? So conflict can significantly impact a project's progress by disrupting team, decrease productivity, compromising project quality, escalation of conflict, legal and financial consequences, reduce team cohesion and poor morale and increase stress. So a tense work environment may lower the morale and creativity, making it harder for teams to collaborate effectively. And ultimately, these issues can slow down the project and even risk the client dissatisfaction. So, to resolve the conflict, the first step is identifying. Okay, so identifying the root cause by actively listening, collaborating, accommodating, and avoiding the conflict. So once the perspective of everybody is gathered, focus on a common goal and brainstorm the solution collaboratively, choosing a mutually agreeable solution that addresses everyone's concern is the key. Encouraging a communication, fostering respect and using project management tools to ensure transparency for ensuring smoother project execution. Okay. Moving ahead with our next question, which is how will you create an effective change management plan? So let's first understand what are the steps involved in the change management process. So the number one is preparation for a change. For example, if any change you want to do in your project, how you're prepared for it, building a vision for that, planning the change, implementing the change, and then lastly monitoring and reviewing the change. So how can we create the effective change management is by defining certain objectives, then developing a communication strategy, providing training and support, and lastly monitoring and evaluating. So all businesses must undergo a change at one point or another. So whether it's change in leadership, organizational structure or technologies. And changes can be disruptive and stressful. So there needs to be an effective change management plan. So a change management plan allows you to communicate the change early and often by providing training, support and be available to answer possible questions, which reduces the change resistance, boosts employee morale and helps to create a more positive work environment. Moving ahead with our next question, which is how do you prepare to manage a remote team effectively? Okay. To prepare to manage a remote team effectively, the key is to establish a solid foundation of structure, communication and well-being while remaining adaptable to your team's unique need. Every individual has unique needs and unique manageable styles, and it's important to find what works best for you and your team. So here are 7 strategies which you can implement. So first one is set clear expectation. So you can establish clear guidelines for work procedure, communication style and team values. Then you can use the right communication channel. So use a mix of communication tool like instant messaging, emails, video calls, etc. Then you can hold regular check-ins. You can schedule daily or weekly check-ins to maintain a connection and provide opportunities. Then mental health, of course, is very important. Then prioritize your team's emotional well-being by providing support, encouraging breaks and offering resources. Then it's very important to celebrate the win. Recognize both big and small achievements. Then document the process, keep detailed documentation of workflow. Then lastly, encourage the socialization. Then organize virtual or social events, team building, etc. So you must remember the approach may vary based on team dynamics. It can vary from team to team or person to person based on preferences, but consistency in these core areas will help effectively remote team management. Moving ahead with our next question, what steps will you take to create a risk management plan? Okay, to create a risk management plan in a project management, I would take the following steps. Okay, so what I would do is I would identify the risk. Okay, I would measure the risk, I would examine the solution, I would implement the solution, and then I would monitor the result. So I would begin by engaging the stakeholder for brainstorming the potential risk. Then I would assess the likelihood and impact of each risk. Then based on the assessment, I would define mitigation strategies. For technical failures, a contingency plan. Then I would monitor and review. Monitoring and reviewing throughout the project is very necessary, and I would continuously monitor the risk, adjusting the plans, and then I would communicate the regular communication with the team and stakeholder, which would ensure everyone is aware of the risk and their perspectives. Moving ahead with our next question, which is, if you suddenly notice a traffic drop in your website, how would you conduct a root cause analysis? A sudden drop in website traffic can be caused by various factors. Okay. For example, technical issues, site speed, security, manual penalties, algorithm updates, and backlinks issues. So by addressing these areas will help you conduct a root cause analysis. For example, in technical issues, check for the server issue, broken links, site speed, slow loading time can frustrate the visitors. Then security risk. A security breach can result in Google warning visitors, which reduces traffic. Then manual penalties. If your site violates Google guidelines, a manual penalty may occur. Then algorithm updates, very important. So Google algorithm changes like regularly. So it's very important to stay updated on core updates. Then lastly, backlink issues. So low quality backlinks can harm your ranking. So, by keeping these areas in mind and conducting regular audits, keeping up with the SEO trends, you can recover from the traffic drops. Moving ahead with our next question, which is, how do you handle project dependencies effectively? So managing dependency in project management is crucial to ensuring smooth project execution. And dependency refer to relationship between the tasks, like how much this X task is dependent upon the Y. Understanding and identifying these dependency early can help mitigate risk, enhance communication, and improve efficiency. So basically there are 4 main type of task dependency: finish to start, finish to finish, start to start, and start to finish. So task Y cannot start until task X ends because Y is dependent on X. Similarly, task Y can't start unless task X finishes. Task Y, in this case, task Y won't be able to finish, and in this, task Y cannot finish until task X is finished. So to manage dependency effectively, project managers must identify all the dependencies which are there. Then you need to categorize those dependencies, then assign individual responsibilities and prioritize the critical task to be done first. You can use visualization tools, then monitor the progress regularly and communicate effectively, then plan for the contingency. So by staying proactive, project managers can navigate complex dependency and ensure timely project delivery. Moving ahead with our next question, which is what is a critical chain project management and how does it address resource constraint? So critical chain project management or CCPM is a project management method focused on effectively managing resources and dependent tasks. So you can think of it like building something with limited blocks. You need to plan, okay, how to use them wisely. CCPM ensures essential tasks are prioritized while accounting for resource constraint. So it adds buffer, extra time and resource to protect the project from delays. It reduces the multitasking and it plans the resources proactively. So overall it helps team focus on one task, like prioritize only one task at one time. Reducing multitasking and planning resources need upfront and using buffer at safety nets. So it ensures project stays on track even when limited resources or unexpected challenges are there. So going ahead, we have our next question, which is what is the benefit realization management or BRM and how does it enhance traditional project management? Okay, so BRM or benefit realization management is a systematic approach to ensure projects deliver measurable value assigned with an organization's strategy's goal. It bridges the gap between project deliverable and tangible benefits by identifying, planning, executing and sustaining value. So it basically involves identifying, executing and sustaining. So what is the benefit? Benefit is benefit identification, matrix, resource allocation and sustaining benefits. So benefit identification clearly defined project objective. It defines objective. Matrix and KPIs uses measurable indicators to track progress, how your project has made so far. Then resource allocation, assign the right resources, that how much amount of human resource or money is required. Then sustain benefit, then transition project output into long-term organization values. So in summary, you can say BRM is essential for maximizing ROI and ensuring project contribute to an organizational success, because success is what is needed out of every project. By focusing on long-term measurable outcomes instead of just deliverables. So moving ahead with our last question, which is what is the difference between Kanban and Scrum and what is Scrumban? So let's break it down. So Scrum is like a well-grouped game plan. Work happens in fixed sprint. Okay, team sprints are there and work happens between 1 to 4 weeks. With a Scrum Master guiding the team, it's great for tackling big and complex projects step by step, because roles are defined and a set of rules and principles are there to be followed. Now, Kanban is more like a flowing river, you can say. There is no deadline. Okay, and tasks move through stages at their own pace and speed, and everything is visualized on Kanban board. So it's perfect for ongoing project of shifting priorities. But you will need to self-manage deadlines since there is no time pressure. So process and workflow, visualization through boards and continuous flow of work. And then there comes the Scrumban. So it's the mix of both Scrum and Kanban. It borrows the Scrum sprint and prioritization while keeping the Kanban's visual workflow. So you can think of it best of both the worlds. So it will take the pros. Like pros of the Scrum is predetermined system with clear roles and it's great for meeting deadlines. And it will take the pros of Kanban also, which provides a simple visual cues for team members and adaptable for continuous project, which will need the flexibility. So you saw that it will take the pros of both for the teams that needs flexibility but still want some structure. You can say that it's ideal for dynamic projects or transitioning between the framework. So now talking about the cons of Scrum, it requires individual focus and team collaboration. It takes time to implement and familiarize yourself. Talking about cons of Kanban, which is less structure than Scrum and lack of focus on time sensitivity. So that's all from my side. I hope you have liked the video. Kindly don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button for Intellipaat's YouTube channel. Thank you and see you in the next video.